Alright guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about the disconnect between the Spurs organization and Kawhi Leonard, and if the Spurs are on the wrong track and if they're falling apart. And trivia question of the day is, in 1996-97 season, when the Spurs last missed the playoffs, who was the leading scorer on that team? Like we always do when we start our videos, so we're going to start with some facts about what's going on with this whole situation with Kawhi Leonard and the San Antonio Spurs organization. So as of right now, Kawhi Leonard has not played since January 13th, and he's only played 9 games in this whole season because of quad and shoulder injuries. At first, it started with only predicting that he was going to miss the first part of the preseason, and then it slowly turned out to be the first 10 games of the season, in which after that, Pop was a little bit confused because he thought that this injury, which was earlier stated before by Tony Parker, wasn't going to be as significant as an injury as it has been, and wasn't going to affect this Spurs team this much so far early into the season. So the disconnect with this organization is basically the difference between knowing stuff and not knowing stuff, between Kawhi Leonard knowing the timetable, in the Spurs organization trying to figure out the timetable, trying to figure out the rehab, trying to figure out the treatment behind all of this. And this is kind of surprising that Pop does not know what's really going on with this whole situation. He knows very vaguely, but he seems to be a little disconnected. And this is very surprising considering how his relationships have been throughout the years with so many of his star players, such as Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan throughout his whole career, Tony Parker. And as we see a little bit before that, in these last weeks, LaMarcus Aldridge actually asked for a trade, in which Pop responded by him saying, we can't get anything out of you right now, so you're going to have to stick with this team. And I guess that relationship was good enough for LaMarcus Aldridge to just be like, I'll suck it up and get through the season. But we'll see how that relationship actually turns out with Kawhi Leonard and Greg Popovich in these upcoming games. So as we move a little bit to the side of that, we're going to talk about the Spurs team going on right now, and they're currently the third in the West, behind, actually tied with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like I said, I'm such a big fan of the Minnesota Timberwolves. If you guys check out my other video, because I believe they have so much potential. They have one of the best coaches in the game, I think, for that team right now. But them being in that third in the West, I think they will get to that 50 win mark like they usually always do. But I think they'll be very close to it this year, right around that 52 win mark. I think they will get it though. And as we talk about the players that are getting it done this year, you have LaMarcus Aldridge, who's averaging right around that 22 points per game, 9 rebounds. He's going to put up his points every game. But you're getting contributions now from Rudy Gay, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Danny Green, Pau Gasol, David Bertans, DeJounte Murray. They're all putting in significant minutes to try and bolt into that well-organized machine that is the San Antonio Spurs. So obviously one of the big stats I like to throw around is the efficiency. So they're actually second in the league in defensive efficiency this year, which is pretty much the same from last year. They were first in defensive efficiency, so they're just a solid defensive team in general. But their offensive efficiency has dropped off from 7th last year to 14th this year, so they're trying to find their footing in that aspect. But that probably would come along when Kawhi Leonard starts getting back and starts playing significant minutes like he usually does for that team. In addition, they just play Spurs basketball, so they're playing with that slow pace, second lowest in the league. They were like 4th lowest last year, so it's not like they're changing too much of their whole system. They're still being the same Spurs team. They're still, I think, one of probably the top 7, top 8 teams in the league. But at this moment, I do not think that they are a top 5 team in the league. I think the Timberwolves are a top 5 team behind the Warriors, the Rockets, the Cavs, and the Celtics. So that's one thing you have to look out for. I think the Spurs might get bounced in that first round. But I think it'll be very interesting to see how this whole thing with Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs organization actually works out, and how the Spurs will actually get their wins down the stretch with or without him. And of course, the answer to that trivia question in the 1996-1997 season with the Spurs was Dominique Wilkins, in which he averaged 18 points per game towards the end of his career. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and make sure you guys hit this video with a subscribe, hit it with a like, make sure you guys are checking out my other YouTube videos, make sure you guys check out my Instagram page that is in my YouTube video so you guys can find that. But other than that, you guys have a great day, watch the basketball tonight.